Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new PSGL highlights video, this time in Austria for what is round 8 of the championship. It's going to be a very up and down race. I'm not going to give spoilers to what can happen, but there's going to be a lot of drama unfolding, that's for sure. Critical turns round here is of course turn 1 and also turn 3. This kink left is technically classed as a turn. This is technically turn 2 on the track map, but this apex here is oh so critical. The reason turn 1 is critical is the ability to get over the inside curb without the car being unsettled. You rely on quite a bit of RNG through turn 1 and to make sure that you can gain upwards of a tenth of a second per lap if you're able to get it right. You can't always get it right though, you sort of just have to send the car in and hope for the best. But nevertheless, we are here in Q1, 1.4 temps up on our Delta. We need to be in the top 16 to be able to get out of Q1 and progress to the second part of qualifying. And with a simple final corner, taking it fairly safely, we should easily be through, and we go through into P5. The start of Q2 was actually met with quite a lot of rain, intermediate conditions, bearing on the brink of full wets. It was due to dry up, but we still decided to go out on the intermediate flies just to set a banker, because as you know, anything can happen in racing, and maybe the track even get slower or not transition over to dry tyres fully. But it did. With 1 minute on the board, it is a 1 lap shootout between everyone on the track to try and get through to Q3. Everyone is on the dry set of tyres now. Everyone is starting their final lap. It's time to adjust, adapt and send it. I'm getting the final bits of tyre temperature ready for these to give maximum grip. Brake dragging, I covered it in a recent video on my channel and a tutorial how to find time in qualifying. Down to turn 1, as I talked about, you can see we're already 3/4, half a second up. Turn 1 was pretty conservative to say the least, but we don't need to do P1. All we need to do is be above P10 and we get through purple sector 1. Doesn't really mean much though, as there's only one car on a lap ahead of us. You can see the absolute carnage on the mini map behind us though. We have got clear air, and that is oh so critical in these conditions. Turning into downhill right-hander, oh so easy to understeer, oversteer on the exit as well, and now coming up to a treacherous high-speed double left-hander down 2 gears, picked a bit of understeer on entry, but was able to get hard back on the power. Again, purple middle sector, doesn't really mean much though, as we are only the second car on the track, and we're coming up to the final corner. Fabrizio, a 1 minute 3.095, really representative, really fast from Fabrizio. Now through the final corner, running up the line, and we are able to actually beat that and go to provisional pole and see us through into Q3. Once again, final lap on the track. P9 so far, not ideal, not where we want to be. We want to hook up this final lap, critical to get the first sector right, and we're just getting the final bits of tyre temp before we shoot off into our final lap of Q3, but will determine our grid position. I'm going to give you a live commentary of the lap as we come across the line. Turn 1, you're braking just after the 100 meter ball down into 4th gear, pick up the inside curb. I didn't really get it right that time, was not able to get over the yellow part of the curb and rotate the car, losing ourselves about a tenth there alone, arriving to turn 3 just after 100 meters once again. Late downshift to third to get the rotation, hard back on the power, picking up quite a lot of understeer so far in this lap. What's not ideal, understeer around Austria Red Bull ring will absolutely destroy your lap time. Brake just underneath the banner, again understeering, again the front tyres, you're just not picking up the grip, and now you're arriving to the double speed left handers. Now you can see putting the car in, the front tyres are starting to grip now, they're starting to find some traction purchase and confidence is them as well. We're slightly up on the Delta, but we're gonna have to send it in the final sector. 50 meter board, down to brake, down to 6th gear, hard back on the power, final corner of the track, all over the inside curbing, full commitment, and we're 1.3 tenths up on the Delta to a 2.821, what does in fact put us P8 on the grid. Not ideal, Not really happy with that, but it is what it is, and it's race time. We're on the medium compound tyres here now on the grid with 5 lights out, and away we go here for the Austrian Grand Prix, picking up really good initial traction. Fabrizio Donoso comes over to cover us. We look to the outside late on the brakes, and we're able to go all the way around the outside in turn 1. That was a very sweet move indeed into the slipstream of Luke Smith, deploying the battery, trying to look all over the back of him. He's in the slipstream with Freddie Rasmussen. We all arrive into the big braking zone. We think about looking down the inside, but we opt against it. Luke Smith goes all the way down the inside, actually hits Alfie Butcher up ahead of him, but no negative effect from that anyway. Side by side, Fabrizio Donoso in the slipstream of Luke Smith, arriving down to turn 4. So easy to understeer. You can see side by side with Fabrizio still so far, looking down the inside, and there's going to be contact. Oh no, it's a mess. God. And you can see now we're trying to get back to the track, and we're actually meted by, what is that, a Journey Tormola's car actually ghosting and hitting our car in the process of him hitting the back of Luke Smith and destroying his car. But looking back in slow speed, I have to take responsibility for this as well. I didn't anticipate the cars to go 3 wide on the exit. You can see Luke Smith gets a terrible exit on the exit of turn 4 and causes us to go 4 wide. But I have to hold responsibility. That was my fault. I think as the driver, it's really important to analyze when you was in the wrong, and for sure I was in the wrong here, so I apologize to every driver involved in this incident. I did not anticipate that we would go 3 wide. I thought we'd just be 2 wide and would be okay, but no excuses. That was my fault. And as you can see, as the game glitches, actually throws my car in the air as we go through Joni Tormola's ghosted car, which was destroyed.
Brendon box.
So wow,
No need for change and mediums, please.
What a few corners that was. Broken wing, safety car now. But
I know I'm not
advise, please. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but advise, because if I go to mediums, I don't destroy the rule for the tire allocation.
Can you hurry up?
If I go to hards, hard or mediums? Hard. So yeah, what a few corners this was. Now we've got a safety car and an opportunity to change this broken wing. What was a blessing for us to be able to get back in. I was discussing with the engineers because I wanted to put the hard tyres on, because in the Formula 1 there's a rule that you have to run at least 2 sets of tyres, and I knew that if I went to the hard tyres right now, I could run any tyre I wanted for the rest of the race. If we went to the medium compound tyres, we would be forced to only running the hard compound tyres later. By going into the hards, now I could pick any tyre and do any strategy I wanted for the rest of the race. So turning a negative situation, thinking on our feet and trying to make it as positive as possible. You can see the safety cars coming in. I'm leaving a lot of space for the cars ahead because I don't actually want to be close to them on this safety car restart. Sounds a bit weird, I know, but with the amount of carnage that's going to happen, or I predicted to happen at least, on this first flying lap of the race, first full flying lap of the race anyway, I wanted to hold back and just manage my car, manage my tyres, manage my front wing, and try not to get in any incidents, and then put ourselves in a position to recover later on in the race. With that being said, though, Fabrizio Donoso did let us back past on the straight. I'm still not exactly sure the reason why, but we're able to pick up 1 position with the Haas of, I think that's Daniel Brendon, going side by side up ahead of us. Cutting on to lap 7, we've been saving our tyres and realising that the incident with Joni Tormola on the first lap that threw the car up into the air, I feel like did give us a bit of damage that we couldn't repair in the pit stop. The car was very understeery, snap oversteery on the exit, and overall not enjoying the balance that I had in practice. Was really struggling to have confidence with the car. You can see sort of just turning in, it's just understeering quite wide. I'm turning the wheel, but not really too much is happening. And then when I get into like anywhere in the medium speed corners, I'm risking snap oversteer. So it's one of those situations that I really had to adjust my driving style. You can see quite a bit of understeer in turn 1 again. But with that being said, we're all over the back of Jake Benham, deploying the battery, trying to go down the inside of him in the braking zone into turn 3, late on the brakes. You can see side by side with Jake Benham. He's still there, so we have to leave him space on the exit, leave him a full car width, and he gets phenomenal traction on the outside, deploying more battery slightly in the slipstream of Luke Smith up ahead. Both have DRS wide open. He's going to look to the outside on the braking zone. We'll both hit the brake at the same time, and he carries phenomenal speed around the outside, and you can see going nice and cleanly through that battle there.
One of the mediums expected the box.
And Jake Benham fantastically defends his position, to be honest, was able to have good clean side-by-side racing through those complexer corners. Lap 13 of the race is arriving. Jake Benham is now getting past Daniel Bresnay, and you can see Bresnay breaks early. I've got a full battery because, like I say, I've been saving my tyres and just trying to play a slightly longer game in this race. Tom Manley, I don't know what happened to him. I think he must have had contact in turn 3, maybe got spun around, but unfortunately for him, he's dropped the back of his queue. But with that being said, we are cutting forward onto lap 17, and to be honest, I expected so many more people to box earlier than they did. People went way longer than I ever anticipated them to go. I was anticipating them to box on lap 14, 15, 16. As you can see, majority of the grid is still out on track on lap 18. Even the medium runners are still out on track. You can see the snap oversteer I was talking about as I arrived at turn 1 just had no rear traction. I was actually having to run my brake bias, I think 2% higher than I was in practice. At minimum 1%, but most of the stint I was having to run 2% higher than practice just to try and counter that oversteer and lack of rear grip I was having from the presumed damage. I don't know exactly because it's quite hard to tell on the game indicator because it's very difficult with the green colour to know exactly if there's damage or not, especially if it's only light, but from my feeling and my experience in the game, the car didn't feel right, so I was having to compromise my driving style to make sure the car was being as stable as possible. You can see half a second away and the car was still understeering a bit like a pig, to be honest. It really was not handling well and was having to rag every bit of performance I could out of it. Arriving here on lap 20, you see Daniel Bresnay has gone for the pit lane and we're going round for another time. So we want to try and extend the stint, have as good tyres as possible for later in the race. Crossing over the line to lap 21, you can see Jake Benham up ahead with Luke Smith. At the end of lap 21, we have caught all the way back in, deploying a bit of the tyre saving that we used earlier, and now we are boxing, following Jake Benham, Luke Smith, and I think that is Wilson Hughes into the pit lane up ahead of us. We're going to the medium compound tyres, getting the car slowed down quite conservatively because Luke Smith was a bit earlier on the brake as well. Picking our turning point optimally, and now we're going to these medium compound tyres. Super critical to make sure that we nail this outlap, to be honest. Luke Smith is ahead of us, and Lucas Blakely has stayed out on track for an extra lap. So we have the opportunity to try and undercut him as well. And you can see Daniel Bresnay up ahead has got in front of this whole queue. And now we are looking to hunt down the leaders. I believe we had to pace the catch back up. We just needed a bit of clear air to try and do it. And we just need to maximise our laps for the rest of the race. Luke Smith also has a 3-second time penalty. So I knew he would not really be a big problem going forward, and providing nothing dramatic happened, we should be able to finish ahead of him at the end of the race. Anyway, we decided to do a little weave on the straight, and that was basically me saying to Luke, hey, look, I want to work together. I don't want to compromise each other's stint right now on this outlap. It's more critical to make sure that we can get ahead of Lucas Blakely rather than fight each other and fall away from the DRS of the cars ahead. Luke Smith is using more battery on the exit of this corner as well. Going in to the right-hander, we're currently P16, and that should work out to be more positioned ahead of us by the time other cars have made their pit stop. Considering we were second to last, dead last at some points as well on the track during the safety car period, this is a good comeback so far. We're currently P13, looking on the back of P12. We're looking down the inside. You can see he covers the inside. He's flashing on the battery. Look to the outside. Get the car straight as possible under braking. Rotate the car. Hard back in the power right over the back of Luke Smith. Deploying more battery. Opening DRS. I'm trying not to waste all my battery. You can see looking to the outside. Switching to the inside. Doing the dummy. Looking down the inside. Hard on the brake. You can see keeping the car controlled on the apex. Leaving room on the exit as well for Luke Smith. Again, another good bit of clean racing between us. He's flashing the battery quite a lot, but he's fully entitled to defend and to race. He's running his race as well, although it can be very frustrating in the moment, as basically any driver would be frustrated, because if we're not winning, you're naturally frustrated as a driver. So you can see coming through the final corners now, you can see he doesn't get a great run off the final corner, and I'm really trying to clear him as much as possible right now. You can see he goes defensive, we go down the inside or turn one, and he goes for a very beautifully executed switchback maneuver, to be honest, and I'm having to deploy more battery. Would you fight with no back? Yeah, that's just me being frustrated in the moment, but like I say, Luke Smith has every single right to be battling me and he's fighting me, and he's doing an excellent job of it as we get punted from behind by Lucas Blakely, completely hit. And again, that added more oversteer to my car.
I definitely got hit from behind them.
And
I don't know who by.
it's very hard to say, again, from the in-game indicator, but the car, again, felt even worse after this hit. So, yeah, it might have just been more rear tyre wear. You can see even picking up wheel spin out of that hairpin there, but it might have just been added rear tyre wear I got from it. Might have been more damage. It's hard to know exactly, but nevertheless, that was not ideal that we got hit from behind. But it is what it is. It's racing. As you can see now, Lucas Blakely looking around the outside, gets fantastic traction, and now we're on the inside, hugging the car, picking up quite a lot of understeer for Daniel Britt. He's still right side by side with Lucas Blakely, and now going through the left-hander, picking up more understeer again, and my car is not handling how it did in practice, that's for sure, and my car has been through the wars in this Austrian GP. Through the final corner, Daniel Bresney up ahead on the hard compound tyres. You can see I'm very low on the battery now. I've had to use a lot of battery overtaking Luke and defending from Lucas. So hasn't been ideal, but that's part of racing. How it goes sometimes, and we're still so far away from the leading pack, but I still believe we could catch up and do a really good scenario towards the rest of the race. Picking up more wheel spin on the exit of turn 1. The rear of the car is not feeling good right now. Lap 27. You can see we're sort of just lifting and coasting behind Daniel Bresnay. Lucas goes down the inside, and he gets the move done. And now we're side by side. We deploy a little bit of battery on the exit, but decide it's not really worth fighting in the end. And I wanted to focus to save my battery. Lucas is now flashing on his battery. So I wanted to focus to save the battery for later in the race and really try to maximize the end of the race. It has not been ideal for me. It's been quite a frustrating race so far. So I wanted just to put myself in a position to maximize it towards the end of the race as well. And try and give ourselves the opportunity to get back in the points.
What is the battery use?
You see now, lap 29. Lucas Blakely up ahead, flashing. Again, the rear tyres are just not gripping, not performing at all on the road. And you can see we let Luke Smith go past us because we're more focused on saving battery. Huge lift and coast into the apex as Lucas Blakely actually hits the back of Daniel Bresnay.
We fight at the end.
In the right hander and side by side up ahead.
At least we get some battery, I guess. That's the plan.
You can see me saying I wanted to save battery and just fight at the end. We've still got a handful of laps to go. And you see lap 34, we've got a full battery now to fight. See, Luke Smith is going down the inside of Lucas Blakely. Lucas Blakely actually hits Daniel Bresnay, and Luke Smith hits Daniel Bresnay as well. And we're able to pick up 3 positions just by having the spatial awareness to back off a bit earlier. And now we're into P11, 1 place away from points paying positions, and we are back in the leading train. P11 albeit, but anything can happen right now, good or bad, and we just need to focus to catch back up to Jake Benham as fast as possible. We've probably got some of the most battery in the field right now. Still no rear grip, you can still see the car fighting on the exit of turn 1, and now we've got 7 tenths to Jake Benham up ahead, getting turn 1 fairly good, and now getting a relatively nice exit, still losing to the cars around us. Now arriving into turn 3, you've got 7 tenths of Jake Benham up ahead, and now you can see we actually hit the back of him. Again, was my fault. There was a Constantino effect on the apex with cars battling up ahead, and I just didn't predict it. And you can see now, Simon Weigang going up ahead, and he's going down the inside of some cars, and you can see that's causing a massive Constantino effect. And by the time I've hit the brake pedal at the right time, I must say, I was not braking late. You can see now everyone is slowing down massively on the apex. Jake actually hit a little bit of Wilson as well. I think Josh actually hit a bit of Simon, and I made a massive whack to Wilson. So I'm sorry to Wilson. I'm sorry to Jake. I hit Jake. So massive apologies to Jake. It was my misjudgment. As I say, it's important to own up to our mistakes and our misjudgments in life and racing as well. So that was my bad and my mistake, and not something I hope to ever recreate. Definitely something I can learn from going forward. So once again, sorry to Jake for that incident. If it cost him any performance at all, yeah. Apologies once again. You can see now we have massive front wing damage, so it's compromised us way more than it compromised anyone else. And you can see we're just trying to get the car rotated and hang on until the end of the race now. You can see Luke Smith has a 3-second time penalty, and we're just trying to get to the end of the race as fast as possible, just to try and pick up any pieces other people do have penalties. Dylan Warren sets the fastest lap of 4.077. Cars up head going side by side. And yeah, ultimately we came home after penalty were applied in P8 in this race. After this race, we're P3 in the Drivers' Championship, so it's going really good so far. We just need to hook up a few more races and try and pick up a few more race wins. But yeah, P3 in the Drivers' Championship right now, P2 in the Constructors' Championship, only 2 points away from Ferrari. So we're in a good position. We just got to keep on focusing, keep on picking up some good results. It says we're P10 there, but on the official standings after PSGL applied penalties was confirmed to be P8. Considering we was dead last at the start of the race, that was a pretty good comeback. But I've been Brendon Leigh. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Glad to was actually ciao. Bye bye.